Hello everybody, welcome to yantras.com yet again. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic, and this is a different kind of video. Why is this different? Because just now when I was creating a post on TechTonics, I came across a news wherein Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook just gave a speech in Georgetown University where he discussed various dimensions and aspects about free speech and how free speech has evolved humanity from one state of existence to other state of existence. So he pointed out various highlights regarding free speech and why it is important and what is his stance regarding it. So in my process of writing about it, I realized the tectonics space wherein we discuss various news in a bite-sized chunks is not sufficient enough to talk about it, for the simple fact that free speech, freedom of expression, and all of these things, when looked from a perspective of technology or otherwise, is a very subjective and not to mention a very sensitive topic. So I decided let's leave it there, and I decided to just create this rough and tough video highlighting various aspects that we discussed, and from technological perspective what things mean as far as technology and social media is concerned. So that is precisely what we are going to discuss in this video immediately after this intro. Alright, so let's first start with what Mr. Mark presented, and after all the presentation, what his stance is. He started by telling what free speech was and how historically free speech and freedom of expression has helped humanity get a direction. When I say direction, to evolve from one dimension of existence to other dimension of existence. At the same time, he also highlighted how suppression of speech or suppression of freedom of responsibility and expression led to certain segments of society getting suppressed. And in the middle of all this, he also highlighted how this freedom was mistreated and not used in a responsible sense, which lead to a lot of loss in terms of property and even human lives. So he took the examples of various historical figures such as Martin Luther King and how he influenced the society and stuff like that. And it was very clear from his speech that by the way, when you are listening to all of this, you have to have the general perspective of social media age that we are living in. So Facebook has been in the news since the whole Cambridge Analytica scandal happened, and so you have to look at all of this from that perspective, how social media agencies and social media platforms are evolving and how much power people have to express what they want. So looking at all of these factors, looking at various facts and figures that he pointed out, it was very clear that his stand as far as social media is concerned, as far as freedom of speech in social media is concerned, he will be standing on the freedom of speech side, on the free speech side, given that there are loopholes in the whole arena and there are certain kinds of moderation and activities that need to be done from the company's side, from the social media giants side, to moderate all this stuff. But if you do not allow people to express whatever they want freely and not have people disagree or agree with it, somewhere it will lead to a suppressive dimension. This is all what Mr. Mark said. From the speech, it was very clear that as far as if you look at everything from Facebook's point of view, you can understand how much complicated situations can get, because you are a serving space for like 2 billion people. 2 billion people means 2 billion minds, and anyone can have any kind of theory about anything. So if an individual or a group or an organization says that this speech is very right in their moral sense of understanding things, there can be another group, there can be another individual or people who may disagree with what your moral understanding is, and at the same time say that this is a hate speech or misinformation or your attempt at stepping on what I believe in. So if you look at all of these things from a Facebook standpoint, things are really complicated. You understand? It's chaos. So how to navigate through these things, how things are not black and white, and how things are gray, and how Facebook is continuously investing a lot of budget in this moderation department or privacy department and stuff like this, and how they are developing AI to eliminate misinformation or hate speech and pornographic content and all of these kinds of things, at the same time making sure that these things that they are removing are really something that should be removed. So the situation is getting very complex. That is something that we can understand. So can we look into this fundamental understanding as to why are things so complex? So all of this was Facebook's arena and the understanding that Mr. Mark was presenting, right? That's fine. Now let's look into things as individuals, as consumers, or someone who consumes any kind of media from the internet or any media in general, right? So before we go into free speech, is it not important to understand what is freedom? So just take me for example. If I just jump around and say I will do whatever the hell I want, is that freedom? I will think whatever I want to think. Well, you can think whatever the hell you want to think, but that doesn't matter. But I will think whatever I want to think. I will do whatever I want to do, or stuff like this. Do you think that's freedom? Or is it an expression of irresponsibility coming out of a deep bondage? See, if you're truly free, if you're very in tune with truth, such that your psychological drama doesn't affect you, will you talk like that? Will a free man talk like that? I want to be free, I want to be free, I will do whatever the hell I want. A person who is truly free doesn't need to say that. So what is this kind of freedom that we are so used to, that I want to do whatever the hell I want? Is it coming from a sense of bondage, or is it coming from a sense of responsibility? It is something that we need to look into. So here's this question of freedom and responsibility. So if I am a kind of person for whom existence just means that I am an individual and that is how I exist, then yes, this kinds of outbursts may happen, wherein we may consider what I think as a responsible outlet or responsible action or stuff like that. But if we truly see all around us, do we exist as individuals? The very earth I'm standing on, the very tree that is outside. So can I exist without them? No. Can I exist without the very air that I'm breathing, or the water that forms such a like 70 to 75% of my body? Can I exist without all of these things? That means in some way I am responding to every atom in the cosmos. I'm responding to everything. So in that sense, I don't exist individually. So once our responsibility takes this kind of dimension, what automatically happens is we don't necessarily resort to irresponsible outlets. But it so happens that most of the times that is what we see on social media. Ideas are conflicting ideas. People are resorting to putting forth things without truly thinking whether we are connected at the point of at the level of humanity or not, and things like this. So once you truly understand that you are not an individual existence, suddenly your expression takes a kind of like a responsible outlet. This person is truly free, isn't it? Who realizes that he's not necessarily an individual in existing independently, but is something that is in tune with everything that is happening right now. So there is this freedom that comes out of person, wherein wherein it is accompanied with this sense of responsibility, of a freedom that stems from this sense of responsibility is true freedom. And I will do whatever the hell I want, is not responsible freedom. On the contrary, it is coming out from a deep bondage that we have not looked at yet. So that is the precise reason we see so much chaos on, whatever we see. Social media platforms are not used in a responsible way. That doesn't mean the social media platform is bad. No, it is a very empowering thing, isn't it? Just a few years back, you would not have thought of anything like internet, yet it is here. And the precise reason why it is not being used in a responsible sense is maybe because we are irresponsible. Maybe. I'm not saying we are, I'm saying maybe. So the question now comes, does that mean are we to blame? I'm not talking in terms of blame. Does this mean that Facebook is not doing everything responsibly? Absolutely not. See, we are not living in a society, unfortunately, where the building blocks behind these systems, building blocks behind these big businesses are all based on a humanitarian aspect, that they are doing everything for just other people. We cannot assume that, right? There are definitely aspects and dimensions behind all of these big businesses, social media platforms and other things like that may be operating from a very business perspective. For example, TechCrunch also released a post regarding this speech by Mr. Mark, and in that post, TechCrunch very clearly mentioned that Facebook is not something that promotes free speech, but something that amplifies outrage for its business intents. Yes, but we as individuals don't know that, and that may be true, may not be true. How much of it is true, how much of it is not true, we don't know. So looking at both of these perspectives very truly, we ultimately invariably come to this point where if you are a consumer, if you are someone who is using social media for various different types of purposes, for online shopping, reading a review, watching this video or whatever, we have to come to this point wherein we realize whether something that is presented to us is true or is it just hyped up bullshit. Yes, we have to at some point of time understand what is happening. So here comes the question. You may ask, fine Shubham, it's all fine. Everything is it's kind of like a chaotic mess. Anyone can make any kind of post viral on WhatsApp or Facebook or YouTube or whatever and create misinformation. There are conflicts between countries, and countries are using social media platforms to create all kinds of confusion amongst the masses. That is happening, and that's a fact. Now it comes to us. How do we navigate through this nonsense? Now, this is a great question, and that is why I'm making this video, to address this right away. And we will start from what people do. So for this, let me pick an example of a person who is born in, let's say, America. I'm using America just because Facebook is an American company and we are talking everything in that context. So a person is born in America and a person who is born in India because I'm from India. If both of these people are presented some chunk of information in front of them, maybe in the form of a product, in the form of a news or something like that, what is the compass they will individually use to navigate or assess whether something is true or false? I'm telling you what they are going to use. What the Indian guy may think to be good or right or wrong for that matter, the American guy may not think necessarily that it is right or wrong or bad. And because this depends on the kind of social situation both of these people are individually brought up to. Let me take you in the past, wherein there was a time in India wherein a king who chopped the heads of a lot of other kings was considered big in the society. It's not necessarily about India, it was about a chunk of time in the past that used to happen. The number of kings that you have killed makes you a bigger king. There was a time wherein if you killed a lot of elephants, you were considered someone who is, you was a warrior, top class warrior. Can that happen right now? Can that sense of morality be applied right now? No. So these kinds of morality keeps on changing. So if you in social media environment say this is right or this is wrong, I want to question what is this place from where you are deciding what is right and what is wrong. Now comes the next question. When Rajput you are saying, so what I'm trying to say is our understanding of morality is just a product of the situation that we exist in, and that is limited, that will always be limited, isn't it? And whatever is limited will always be in conflict. Every knowledge that you have about anything is always limited. You may be the best physicist in the world, but the knowledge that you have will still be limited, because there cannot be complete knowledge about anything. That's the nature of knowledge. So if you are operating out of your personal knowledge and not on the basis of what is, you will always be in conflict either within yourselves or with a group or with a religious personality or with anybody. So what do we do? So moral understanding is a limited tool and will always lead to conflict. So we can't use that. What do we do now? When you see a post on Facebook and it is like going viral, or it is not doing so good or things like that, what is that one element that is always associated with it that makes you pulls you in that dimension? Well, how much hyped it is. So if I stand here and let's say I hype this phone up, I am talking about in terms of, because we discuss technology dimensions in this video, in this channel. So let's talk in terms of technology. If I keep this phone in front of me and I say, oh, this phone is brilliant, oh, wow, nice, oh, this is blah, right? There's one way of expressing things. The other way of expressing things is, oh, this phone is full of nonsense. There's another way of expressing things. Up, down, overhyped, underhyped. Is this true? Will this be true? If I overhype things, just because something has a lot of engagement and people are talking about it, doesn't make it necessarily true. If someone is trying to overhype things or underhype things, invariably it's false. Please see this. Why? Because that is the nature of lie. It needs to be overhyped to make it true. You understand? Truth doesn't care about your experience. Truth doesn't care about your opinion. Truth doesn't care about my opinion, my experiences, or whatever. Truth has a demeanor about itself. There is an intense calmness and neutrality about it. You understand? So if I'm creating a great product and I know the product will speak for itself, I don't need to overhype it. Yes, that doesn't mean good things should not be overhyped or the true things should not be overhyped. That will happen. But when that will happen, you will sense that there is a strong demeanor about it, and that is what we need to understand too. So we don't need to calculate what demeanor is. We just need to kick out the nonsense of these intense or depreciated experiences are. When we kick those out, when we don't necessarily give into a product just because the ad is good, and believe me, I'm a digital marketer. In order to make you sell something, I can make a very good ad and sell you things. But if my product is good, I will make it in a sense that brings you in and shows you all the dimensions of this phone, in the sense that this will appeal to this variety of people, or it may also appeal to this variety of people, and it may not appeal to this variety of people. And if it will appeal to this variety of people, these are the things it will do and these are the things it will not do. Now there is a demeanor about what I'm saying. There are various dimensions that I'm taking care of. Does that mean if I explain everything about it, it will still be good for you? Not necessarily. Sometimes, when we get some products, invariably when we get it, only then we realize it's not good for us. But that becomes a stepping stone for us, and you don't necessarily start having all kinds of opinions about people who suggested that to you. So once we remove that, and once we remove this, whatever is left must be an expression of truth, isn't it? And that doesn't need any kinds of overhype. Why am I telling you this? Let's talk about this now with the perspective of free speech with which we started this video. So when something is presented to you in this sense, invariably you will not fall into the overhype or underhype things, and you will automatically not exaggerate things for the sake of exaggerating it, because I'm not using any kinds of pull-ups or pull-downs to help you engage with the post or with the video and help enable the chaos that is happening on the environment, Facebook or social media environment. So if you see a political ad, and Mr. Mark said that if you are wanting to run a political ad, we will use your identity, your government issued identity, to come to this understanding that whatever it is that you want to present to the people, you will have to be accountable for that. And that's good. That's accountability is increasing. But if we don't latch ourselves to these experiences, up down experiences, the hype and up and under depreciating experiences, you will see it is these extremes that are required for lies to exist. And if I don't give into both of these things, these lies that happen on social media die out a natural death, and whatever is left will be responsible. And what to do so that we don't do these overhype and underhype things? We have to question our own experiences, we have to question our own moralities, we have to question our own judgments, our own knowledge, our how we look at things, how reality is, and start inquiring into not what we think things are, but how reality actually is. This is a very complicated subject, and it takes a lot of understanding behind this, but what I'm trying to tell you behind this is how to not give into an overhyped thing just because it can be presented on the grounds of free speech, and you getting swept into it and getting lost in it. That is what I'm trying to say. So when this is done from our side, when we have this scale within us, wherein we understand this is bullshit and this is true, you will see by changing yourselves, the outside starts changing. You see, if I am not bound by my experiences, what I like or what I dislikes are not what is binding me, but what my skepticism and understanding behind what is being presented to me guides me. These algorithm will not present you things you like. The algorithm will start getting confused, because the algorithm will not know what to present to you. So it will always present you something fresh rather than just what you like or what you dislike. See, now you are exposed to different kinds of things from these social media platforms. New, fresh, where you are not sticking to anything, you are not over exaggerating, hypering everything, but looking at things in a very intelligent way. And if this is done by every individual who uses social media, nobody can be hypnotized into anything in the name of free speech or freedom or all of these kinds of things that fire us up. So I think what I'm trying to say here is, as consumers, we need to be skeptic about things. We need to be look beyond our moralities and more into how things are, to navigate through all the things that we are presented right now in a chaotic sense. And when that happens, we will realize that to a great extent we will not be swayed here and there by just misinformation, questioning everything, skepticism and things like that. Does that mean all of these social media platforms should not do anything? Absolutely not. This is what I'm trying to say. When we become responsible, you will then realize that we are not existing on terms of these companies, but these companies are because of us when we are that truly responsible. But if we try over exaggerating everything, they will use it and make business out of it, and then there will be chaos, and then we will fight. Oh, this is right, this is wrong, when there is nothing right and wrong, which was very clear from what Mr. Mark Zuckerberg was saying, that what is right and what is wrong is very subjective and is very personal. And so you cannot create a discrete system that cuts through things, a discrete algorithm that cuts through things and says this is misinformation, this is hate speech, and this is good. But once we become truly responsible, and our freedom is not coming out of some kind of rights, But we being truly human and our humanity flowering from it, if our goodness, if our sense of freedom comes from our not existing as individuals but as something that is connected with everything, I'm telling you, the algorithms, these companies, and everything around you has to yield to you. That is a fact. It all comes down to knowing who we are, what we are. So let's forget about what these big systems, these social media platforms are going to do. They will do, they have to do, because that's their responsibility as well, being a human who is also, being a responsible human or being a responsible companies. Those companies needs to do that, but it also starts with us, right? If I have to conclude this video, I'll say just this: if someone is trying to overhype you, it's false. If someone is trying to depress you with something or saying it is nonsense, it is bullshit, and I don't like this, you don't like this, and because I'm not liking this, you should not like this, and you don't like this, if all of this is removed, then we will automatically generate an I within ourselves which knows what true is, and we know what false is. And then things that we have, these incredible tools that we have in the form of all of these social media platforms, and the way technology is evolving, the way mobile phones are evolving, the way everything is evolving, it will start working for us just because we became responsible. It was a subjective topic, it is a sensitive topic, and it is a very comprehensive, it is a subject that needs to come out a lot. And rather than giving into this, or rather than just being dragged by all of these factors, if we truly hold our place, if we know how to use skepticism the right way, the chaos won't affect us. It can't affect us. And when it stops affecting us, these lies die out themselves, because lies are what we are used to, experienced to, and whatever will remain has to be the truth, isn't it? Immediately after this video, I'll be making a TechTonics video, so stay tuned for that. And after that, we are going to discuss Surface Pro X and whether you should go with Surface Pro X or iPad Pro 2019. That was all as far as this video is concerned. I request you to take great care of yourselves, and I also request your permission to take leave. I'm going to see you again very, very soon. Namaskaram.